in Yemen. Gerald Tan, Al Jazeera.
Well, to discuss the situation in both Saudi Arabia and in Yemen, I'm now joined by Djerejian, a former U.S. diplomat. Thank you, Mr. Djerejian, for being with us. Now, as we've seen in the last 2 days, we've seen a power vacuum in Yemen and then the death of the influential Saudi Arabian King Abdullah. How do you see the confluence of these two events affecting regional politics?
Well, they're two very significant events. Obviously, the turmoil in Yemen is most disturbing to the regional neighbors and to the international community, especially because Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula has been headquartered in Yemen. And the more chaos and instability there is in Yemen, one can fear that Al-Qaeda can expand its reach, not only in the region, but internationally. So that's one point. But then, of course, the situation in Iraq and Syria with the ISIS and the terrible humanitarian tragedy and civil war in Syria, the region is in turmoil. And with King Abdullah's passing, it's another element of change in the region. So the new Saudi king, King Salman, is faced with incredible challenges in the region and globally.
It certainly is a lot of challenges that he's facing at the moment. I want to pick up on something that he said in his first speech. He said, the Arab and Islamic nation is in dire need today to be united and to maintain solidarity. Now, we know, Mr. Djerejian, that the late King Abdullah was an effective regional diplomat. Do you see King Salman will be just as effective in influencing regional politics?
Well, King Salman has already indicated that there will be continuity in Saudi policy. I think that's a good sign. And I think if he lives up to that pledge, I think he will be Allah's foreign policy. Saudi Arabia plays a very key role in not only inter-Arab politics, but in the region as a whole. And certainly in the energy field, as it plays a major role, as we've seen in the latest month, in the energy sector globally. So if there is continuity, I do not think we should anticipate a departure from the policies that were advocated by King Abdullah. But again, we have to see what he does. He's putting his team together, Prince Mukrin, and as you mentioned in your segment, even appointing a deputy crown prince and getting into the next generation of leadership in Saudi Arabia and appointing Prince Mohammed bin Nayef. It's interesting, as you know, Mohammed bin Nayef was interior minister and is an expert on counterterrorism. And I think that's a signal that the kingdom under King Salman is going to be very focused on internal security and regional security.
I want to talk a little bit more about the regional security and the fact that it has been said that much of the Middle East is mired in a proxy war between Shias and Sunnis, you know, Libya, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, just to name a few countries. Do you see King Salman perhaps reaching out to Shia leaders to try to close this gap between the two Islamic sects?
Well, I think that would be an ideal solution if the major parties involved, in this respect, it's really Saudi Arabia representing the Sunni nation, if we could call it that, and Iran representing the Shiite nations. That would be the end result. I think it's very important to try to avoid a continuing and a very dangerous Sunni-Shia rivalry and split in the region. If the politics of reconciliation can be achieved by the new king of Saudi Arabia and with the leaders in Iran, that would be a major accomplishment. Let me tell you something, just a personal note. I think what I really think we need collectively, not only in the Middle East, but globally, are courageous political leaders who believe in reconciliation, It is the only way to overcome these incredibly difficult and tragic problems we're facing, especially in the Middle East. The last great leader of reconciliation was Nelson Mandela. And what we need are new Nelson Mandelas. That's a high bar of leadership, but that's what's really needed.
It certainly is. Thank you very much, sir, for your insight, Edward Djerejian, former U.S. diplomat.